Say, quote, when you introduce yourself in a meeting, you should say, my name is Judge Blank and my pronouns are blank. You say, quote, I'd like counsel to introduce themselves, giving your full name and your honorific, such as Ms. and Ms. period, Mix, or Mr., not Mrs., or at issue. Judge, you seem to be obsessed with race and sexuality. How are litigants going to be able to trust you?
Senator, that's not what I've said. There is no different standard.
It is bigger than Dallas. I read it to you.
When you look
turned in these documents. I didn't go looking for them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Capitol Insights. Today I'm diving into a heated exchange between Senator John Kennedy and a judicial nominee that has everyone talking. Kennedy didn't hold back on some controversial questions, and the nominee's responses got pretty intense. It raised questions about identity, law interpretation, social media conduct, and more. Let's break down the top moments from this gripping exchange. And hey, if you're new here, make sure to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos like this. All right, let's jump right in. First up, Senator Kennedy kicked things off with a question about pronouns and titles. He referenced a statement the nominee made about introducing themselves with both names and pronouns. Kennedy suggested this instruction might seem like an obsession with social labels. The nominee countered, saying they were just being respectful. Language around identity is a hot topic in politics today. What do you think? Is Kennedy raising a fair question, or is he nitpicking? Let me know in the comments. Next, Kennedy questioned what he saw as an obsession with race and sexuality, quoting the nominee saying, "Race matters, hell yes." He argued this stance might influence their impartiality. The nominee denied an obsession, but acknowledged that race and identity shape perspectives. How much should a judge's personal beliefs influence their decisions? If you're finding this interesting, hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people. Kennedy then asked about biological sex, questioning the nominee on how many biological sexes there are. The nominee answered there are different views on that topic. Kennedy wasn't satisfied and kept pushing for a direct answer. The nominee held their ground, citing future cases as a reason for careful wording. Was that a fair answer? Or should they have been more straightforward? This is where the debate really started heating up. Lastly, Kennedy pressed on a big question. Should the U.S. Constitution be interpreted as it was when written, or should it adapt with the times? The nominee didn't commit to a strong stance, frustrating Kennedy. He argued that judicial philosophy is crucial, especially at the appellate level.
Quote, when you introduce yourself in a meeting, you should say, my name is Judge Blank and my pronouns are blank. You say, quote, I'd like counsel to introduce themselves, giving your full name and your honorific, such as Ms. and Ms. period, Mix, or Mr., not Mrs. You wrote, quote, white, male, straight people allow privilege to remain in place, close quote. You said, quote, does race matter? Hell yes, close quote. So all issues have one set of proof, except you think we ought to have a different set of proof when equity, diversity, and inclusion are at issue. Judge, you seem to be obsessed with race and sexuality. How are litigants going to be able to trust you?
Senator, that's not what I've said. There is no different standard.
It is bigger than Dallas. I read it to you.
When you look
turned in these documents. I didn't go looking for them.
When you look
proud of it. Biologically, how many sexes are there?
As I understand it, there are different views on that topic.
I'm asking you your view.
Again, that is an area that I believe could come before me as an issue.
I think it's appropriate for prosecutors to say, I disagree with the legislature and the people, and I'm not going to prosecute an entire line of cases.
Senator, I think it is appropriate for prosecutors to evaluate each case that comes before them, and almost every prosecutor.
But that's not what I'm asking.
Senator, I agree that prosecutors have the legal option to use the flexibility given to them.
When they exercise that option, do you agree with that?
I think it would depend on the circumstance under which they're exercising it and what the rationale was for their decision.
Well, what are the circumstances where it's okay to do that?
So I think prosecutors in this country work very difficult jobs under very demanding conditions.
I'll stipulate to that.
Senator, I have never worked as a prosecutor. I have.
Yes, ma'am, but you've read about it.
Yes, sir.
What's going on? Do you agree with it or disagree with it?
Senator, I don't think I can give a categorical yes or no to that because I think it would depend on the
you just answered my question. Hey, you sent out those personal tweets about Senator Cotton, Senator Blackburn, and Senator Cornyn. Did you mean them at the time?
Without hearing those tweets, Senator Kennedy, it's hard for me to remember precisely, what was said or what I was thinking at the time. I do very much regret the tone that I've taken on social media from time to time. I know that I've crossed the line from time to time, and
When you cross the line, did you mean it?
I've contributed to the coarseness on Twitter sometimes by pushing the envelope to break through.
But when you did it, did you mean it?
It's hard for me to respond to that kind of generally, Senator Kennedy, without a specific
You're a smart
example.
guy. Sure you can. You either meant it or you didn't. You got two choices. Door A, door B.
Well, Senator Kennedy, I know that I've pushed the envelope.
Okay.
And
Do you regret it?
I do regret it, Senator.
Do you regret it because you didn't mean it? Or do you regret it because it might cause you not to be confirmed? I think the United States Constitution should be interpreted according to how people understood it at the time it was adopted.
Thank you, Senator. I don't have a personal judicial interpretation philosophy apart from what
You're going to be on the United States Court of Appeals if you're confirmed, and you don't have a judicial philosophy about how the United States Constitution should be interpreted?
Well, Senator, in terms of how it would be interpreted, I'm going to be bound by how others have said the circuits, the judges interpret it. And so...
Yeah, but we don't decide cases using algorithms and just take all the United States Supreme Court cases and put them in, and they haven't addressed every issue. Let me ask it again. Do you think the United States Constitution should be interpreted according to the way that people understood it at the time it was adopted? And if you don't, how do you think it should be interpreted? It's a very simple question for a Court of Appeal nominee.
Well, thank you, Senator. I think the question actually is a little more complicated. The Supreme Court has...
No, it's not. It's about
This debate over originalism versus a more flexible approach to interpreting the Constitution is at the heart of many political discussions. How do you think judges should interpret the Constitution? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, so there you have it. Senator John Kennedy grilling a nominee on everything from identity language to constitutional interpretation. It was definitely a tense exchange, raising big questions about where personal beliefs meet professional duty. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe to Capital Insights to stay updated on all things politics and law. We'll keep diving into the latest events and help you make sense of the news. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.